Society has programmed you to fail. From the time you were born, you've been taught to seek comfort, avoid pain, take the easy road, and expect someone else to solve your problems. You've been taught that you deserve success without earning it, that you should get rewards without results, that life should be fair and easy. But here's what nobody told you. This programming is designed to keep you dependent, weak, and unsuccessful. The education system teaches you to follow instructions, not to think for yourself. The media teaches you to consume, not to create. Your friends and family teach you to play it safe, not to take risks. The government teaches you to depend on others, not to depend on yourself. If you want to be successful, you have to deprogram yourself from these lies. You have to reject the comfort-seeking mindset that society has installed in you. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to choose the hard path when everyone around you is choosing the easy path. You have to become the kind of person who thrives on challenge instead of avoiding it. There are two types of pain in this world, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Here's what most people don't understand. We're all going to experience one of these pains. The question is, which one will you choose? You see, life is constantly asking us to make choices. Easy choices or hard choices. Comfortable choices or challenging choices. And here's the fascinating thing about human nature. Most people will do anything to avoid the hard stuff. They'll take the easy road every single time, thinking they're being smart, thinking they're saving themselves trouble. But what they don't realize is that easy living today creates a difficult life tomorrow. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I was 25 years old, I had been working for 6 years and had nothing to show for it. Nothing. I was behind on my promises, behind on my payments, behind on everything that mattered. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to say where I lived. I was embarrassed to show someone my car. I was embarrassed to pull out my wallet because there was nothing in it. One day, my mentor asked me a simple question. He said, "Jim, how much money have you saved in the last 6 years?" I had to tell him, "Nothing." He said, "Jim, who sold you on that plan?" That question hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized I had been selling myself on a plan that didn't work. I had been choosing the easy path, and it was leading me nowhere. That's when I understood something profound. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. And that's the trap. It's easy to read a book, but it's also easy not to read a book. It's easy to exercise, but it's also easy not to exercise. It's easy to eat well, but it's also easy to eat poorly. It's easy to save money, but it's also easy to spend it all. The successful people in this world have learned to do the hard things. They've learned to do what's necessary, not what's convenient. They've learned to push through the discomfort, to work when they don't feel like working, to study when they'd rather watch television, to save when they'd rather spend. Now let me share something that might surprise you. Doing the hard things is actually easier than doing the easy things. How can that be? Because when you do the hard things, life becomes easier. When you do the easy things, life becomes harder. It's that simple. Think about it this way. If you exercise regularly, eating well, taking care of your body, your life becomes easier. You have more energy, better health, more confidence. But if you take the easy route, eating junk food, sitting on the couch, avoiding exercise, your life becomes harder. You get tired, you get sick, you lose confidence. The same principle applies to everything in life. If you do the hard work of learning new skills, reading books, developing yourself, your life becomes easier. You become more valuable, you earn more money, you have more opportunities. But if you take the easy route, watching television instead of reading, avoiding learning, refusing to grow, your life becomes harder. You stay stuck, you earn less, you have fewer options. Here's what I want you to understand. The hard things you refuse to do today will make your life harder tomorrow. The easy things you choose today will make your life harder tomorrow. But the hard things you choose to do today will make your life easier tomorrow. Success is not about finding an easy path. Success is about becoming the kind of person who can handle the hard path. Success is about developing the character, the skills, the habits that make difficult things possible. Remember when I first started speaking, I was terrified. Standing up in front of people, sharing my thoughts, opening myself up to criticism. It was hard, really hard. But I knew that if I wanted to make a difference, if I wanted to help people, I had to do this hard thing. And you know what happened? The more I did it, the easier it became. The hard thing became natural. The uncomfortable became comfortable. That's the magic of doing hard things consistently. They stop being hard. They become part of who you are. They become your new normal. And when hard things become your new normal, you become unstoppable. Most people live their entire lives avoiding the hard things. They avoid difficult conversations. They avoid challenging tasks. They avoid anything that might make them uncomfortable, and then they wonder why their lives are so hard, why they're always struggling, why they never seem to get ahead. The answer is simple. They've been doing the easy things, and the easy things have a compound effect, just like the hard things do. But the compound effect of easy things is negative. It compounds against you. It makes your life progressively more difficult. Let me give you a practical example. It's easy to skip reading for one day. No big deal, right? It's easy to skip exercising for one day. It's easy to spend a little extra money you don't have for one day. It's easy to eat junk food for one day. It's easy to watch television instead of learning something new for one day. But here's what happens when you make these easy choices consistently. After a year of skipping reading, you haven't learned anything new. After a year of skipping exercise, you're out of shape. After a year of spending money you don't have, you're in debt. After a year of eating poorly, you're unhealthy. After a year of watching television instead of learning, you're exactly where you started. The easy choices compound into a difficult life. The hard choices compound into an easier life. This is one of the most important lessons you can learn. Now let me talk to you about discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not forcing yourself to do things you hate. Discipline is making choices based on what you want most, not what you want now. Discipline is choosing your hard. See, you're going to experience difficulty in your life no matter what. That's just part of being human. The question is, do you want the difficulty that comes from discipline, or do you want the difficulty that comes from regret? The difficulty that comes from discipline is temporary. It's the difficulty of getting up early to exercise. It's the difficulty of saying no to things that don't serve your goals. It's the difficulty of doing the work when you don't feel like it. But this difficulty makes you stronger. This difficulty builds character. This difficulty creates the life you want. The difficulty that comes from regret is permanent. It's the difficulty of living with the consequences of poor choices. It's the difficulty of seeing opportunities pass you by because you weren't prepared. It's the difficulty of watching other people live the life you wanted because they were willing to do what you weren't. I want you to understand something about successful people. They're not lucky. They're not special. They're not different from you in any meaningful way. They've simply learned to be comfortable with the right kind of discomfort. They've learned to choose their hard. When most people see a successful person, they see the results. They see the nice house, the nice car, the recognition, the money. But they don't see the years of discipline. They don't see the early mornings, the late nights, the rejection, the failures, the times when it would have been easy to quit. They don't see the thousands of hours of practice. They don't see the books read, the courses taken, the skills developed. They don't see the sacrifices made, the parties missed, the comfortable choices rejected. They only see the end result, and they think it came easily. But here's the truth. Every successful person has a story of doing hard things when they didn't want to do them. Every successful person has a story of choosing discipline over comfort. Every successful person has learned to do what's necessary, not what's convenient. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more you practice doing hard things, the easier they become. Not because the things themselves get easier, but because you get stronger. When I started reading books regularly, it was hard. I wasn't used to it. I'd rather watch television or talk with friends. But I forced myself to read for just 30 minutes a day. After a few weeks, it became a habit. After a few months, it became something I looked forward to. After a few years, it became part of who I am. The same thing happened with exercise. The same thing happened with saving money. The same thing happened with learning new skills. What started as discipline became habit. What started as hard became natural. And that's the power of doing hard things consistently. They transform you. They change who you are. They make you into the kind of person who can handle bigger challenges, achieve bigger goals, live a bigger life. Let me tell you about the compound effect. Most people understand compound interest when it comes to money. If you save $1 today and earn interest on it, tomorrow you have $1 plus interest. The next day you earn interest on the dollar plus the interest from the day before. Over time this compounds into significant wealth. The same principle applies to personal development. Every book you read makes the next book easier to understand. Every skill you develop makes the next skill easier to learn. Every hard thing you do makes the next hard thing easier to accomplish. But here's what most people don't realize. The compound effect works both ways. Just as positive actions compound into positive results, negative actions compound into negative results. Every book you don't read makes you relatively less knowledgeable. Every skill you don't develop makes you relatively less capable. Every hard thing you avoid makes you relatively weaker. The compound effect is always working. The question is it working for you or against you? Are you compounding your way to success or are you compounding your way to failure? I remember hearing a story about a wealthy man who was asked how he made his fortune. He said, "I made it by doing what poor people are not willing to do." The interviewer asked, "What's that?" He replied, "I lived like a poor man when I was poor, so I could live like a rich man when I was rich." That's the power of choosing your heart. That's the power of doing difficult things when they're small, so you don't have to do difficult things when they're big. Most people have this backwards. They want to live like they're rich when they're poor, so they end up living like they're poor when they're rich. They choose the easy path today, which creates the hard path tomorrow. But successful people understand that temporary sacrifice creates permanent improvement. They understand that doing without today means having more tomorrow. They understand that the hard choices made early in life create the easy choices later in life. This is why I say that doing hard things makes you unstoppable. When you're comfortable with discomfort, when you're used to doing what others won't do, when you've developed the discipline to choose what's right over what's easy, you become unstoppable. You become unstoppable because you're no longer limited by your comfort zone. You're no longer stopped by fear of difficulty. You're no longer held back by the need for everything to be easy. You become willing to do whatever it takes to achieve your goals. The people who are truly unstoppable in this world are not the ones who never face difficulties. They're the ones who have learned to be comfortable with difficulty. They're the ones who have learned to see hard things as opportunities, not obstacles. When you develop this mindset, when you become comfortable with the hard things, something magical happens. You start attracting opportunities that other people miss. You start seeing solutions where other people see problems. You start achieving results that other people think are impossible. Why? Because most people won't do the hard things. Most people will quit when it gets difficult. Most people will look for the easy way out. But when you're comfortable with difficulty, when you're willing to do what others won't do, you have access to opportunities that others don't have. Think about any area of life where you want to improve, whether it's your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, your personal development. The path to improvement always involves doing things that are harder than what you're doing now. If you want to improve your health, you have to do the hard work of exercising regularly and eating well. If you want to improve your relationships, you have to do the hard work of being vulnerable, having difficult conversations, and putting others' needs before your own. If you want to improve your career, you have to do the hard work of learning new skills, taking on challenging projects and stepping outside your comfort zone. There's no easy path to improvement. There's no shortcut to success. There's no way to get better results without doing better things. And doing better things is usually harder than doing what you've been doing. But here's what I want you to understand. The hard things you do today will make everything easier tomorrow. The discipline you develop today will serve you for the rest of your life. The character you build today will determine the opportunities you have tomorrow. When you commit to doing hard things, when you commit to choosing discipline over comfort, when you commit to doing what's necessary regardless of how you feel, you set yourself apart from the majority of people who are looking for the easy way. And when you set yourself apart, when you develop capabilities that others don't have, when you build character that others don't have, you become valuable. You become someone that others want to work with, learn from, and support. This is how you become unstoppable, not by avoiding hard things, but by becoming so good at hard things that they become your competitive advantage. Not by looking for the easy path, but by becoming so comfortable with the difficult path that you can go where others can't go. The world needs people who are willing to do hard things. The world needs people who don't quit when it gets tough. The world needs people who can be counted on to do what's necessary, not just what's convenient. When you become one of these people, when you develop the character and the skills to do hard things consistently, you become unstoppable because you become indispensable. You become someone who can handle whatever challenges come your way. Let me share something with you about the nature of personal development. Personal development is not about becoming someone different. It's about becoming who you really are. It's about developing the capabilities that are already within you. It's about building the character that reflects your true values. But here's the thing about developing your true potential. It requires you to do things that are harder than what you're comfortable with. It requires you to push beyond your current limits. It requires you to be willing to be uncomfortable in the short term so you can be comfortable in the long term. Think about a muscle. A muscle only grows when it's challenged. When you lift weights that are heavier than what the muscle is used to, the muscle adapts by becoming stronger. But if you only lift weights that are easy, the muscle doesn't grow. It stays the same. The same principle applies to every aspect of your development. Your mind only grows when it's challenged with new information, new ideas, new ways of thinking. Your character only grows when it's tested with difficult situations, tough choices, and challenging circumstances. Your skills only grow when you practice things that are harder than what you can currently do. Your confidence only grows when you face fears and overcome obstacles. Your discipline only grows when you choose to do hard things, even when you don't feel like doing them. This is why successful people are constantly looking for ways to challenge themselves. They're not looking for easy, they're looking for growth. They understand that growth only happens outside of your comfort zone. When I was starting out in business, I was afraid to make phone calls. I was afraid of rejection. I was afraid of looking foolish. But I knew that if I wanted to be successful, I had to be willing to make those calls. I had to be willing to face rejection. I had to be willing to risk looking foolish. So I did it. I made the calls. I faced the rejection. I risked looking foolish, and you know what happened? I got better at it. I became more confident. I learned how to handle rejection. I developed skills that served me for the rest of my career. But it started with being willing to do the hard thing. It started with being willing to be uncomfortable. It started with choosing growth over comfort. That's the choice you have to make every day. Are you going to choose growth or comfort? Are you going to choose what's easy or what's necessary? Are you going to choose what you want now or what you want most? The people who become unstoppable are the ones who consistently choose growth over comfort. They're the ones who consistently choose what's necessary over what's easy. They're the ones who consistently choose what they want most over what they want now. Now let me talk to you about the compound effect of doing hard things. When you do something hard, you don't just accomplish that one thing. You also build the muscle of doing hard things. You increase your capacity to handle difficulty. You develop confidence in your ability to overcome challenges. This creates a compound effect. The more hard things you do, the more capable you become of doing even harder things. The more challenges you overcome, the more confident you become in your ability to overcome bigger challenges. It's like climbing a mountain. The first few steps are the hardest because you're not used to the altitude, you're not used to the terrain, you're not used to the physical demands. But as you continue climbing, you develop the muscles, the lung capacity, the mental toughness to handle the increasing difficulty. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you've climbed one mountain, the next mountain is easier. Not because the mountain is easier, but because you've become stronger. You've developed the capabilities to handle that level of challenge. The same thing happens in every area of life. When you do the hard work of reading books regularly, you don't just gain knowledge, you also develop the discipline to do other hard things. You develop the habit of continuous learning. You develop the ability to focus and concentrate. When you do the hard work of exercising regularly, you don't just improve your physical health, you also develop mental toughness. You develop the ability to push through discomfort. You develop the discipline to stick with something even when it's hard. When you do the hard work of saving money regularly, you don't just build wealth, you also develop the ability to delay gratification. You develop the discipline to make choices based on long-term consequences rather than short-term desires. Every hard thing you do makes you more capable of doing other hard things. Every discipline you develop makes it easier to develop other disciplines. Every challenge you overcome makes you more confident in your ability to overcome other challenges. This is why I encourage people to start with small, hard things. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one area where you can start doing something hard consistently. Maybe it's reading for 30 minutes a day. Maybe it's exercising for 20 minutes a day. Maybe it's saving $10 a day. Start small, but start. And be consistent. Do it every day, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because that's when you're building the muscle of discipline. That's when you're developing the character of someone who does hard things. As you build this muscle, as you develop this character, you'll find that you can take on bigger challenges. You'll find that you can handle more difficult situations. You'll find that you can achieve goals that once seemed impossible. Let me tell you about the power of personal philosophy. Your philosophy is your way of thinking about life. It's your beliefs about what's important, what's possible, what's worth pursuing, and your philosophy determines your actions, and your actions determine your results. Most people have a philosophy of seeking comfort and avoiding difficulty. They believe that life should be easy, that they should be able to get what they want without having to work too hard for it. This philosophy leads to actions that prioritize short-term comfort over long-term success. But successful people have a different philosophy. They believe that difficulty is a pathway to growth. They believe that challenges are opportunities. They believe that the harder you work on yourself, the easier life becomes. This philosophy leads to different actions. Instead of avoiding hard things, they seek them out. Instead of looking for the easy way, they look for the right way. Instead of prioritizing comfort, they prioritize growth. Your philosophy is powerful because it shapes how you see the world. If you believe that hard things are problems to be avoided, you'll spend your life running from opportunities to grow. If you believe that hard things are opportunities to be embraced, you'll spend your life growing stronger and more capable. I want you to develop a philosophy that serves you. I want you to believe that you're capable of doing hard things. I want you to believe that challenges are opportunities for growth. I want you to believe that the discipline you develop today will serve you for the rest of your life. When you have this philosophy, when you truly believe these things, your actions will naturally align with your beliefs. You'll find yourself choosing the hard path because you understand that it leads to the easy life. You'll find yourself seeking challenges because you understand that they make you stronger. This is the mindset of people who become unstoppable. They don't see hard things as obstacles to be avoided. They see hard things as training to be embraced. They understand that every difficult situation is an opportunity to develop their character and increase their capability. When you develop this mindset, when you truly embrace the philosophy of doing hard things, you become unstoppable because you're no longer limited by your circumstances. You're no longer stopped by difficulties. You're no longer held back by fear or discomfort. You become someone who can handle whatever life throws at you. You become someone who can turn challenges into opportunities. You become someone who can achieve goals that others think are impossible. But it all starts with making the decision to do hard things. It starts with choosing discipline over comfort. It starts with choosing what's necessary over what's easy. It starts with choosing what you want most over what you want now. The beautiful thing about this decision is that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything right. You just have to be willing to do hard things consistently. You just have to be willing to keep going even when it's difficult. Every time you choose to do something hard, you're building the character of someone who does hard things. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're developing the habits of successful people. Every time you choose what's necessary over what's easy, you're creating the life you want. Remember, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do, but the things that are hard to do are also hard not to do once you develop the habit of doing them. Once you become comfortable with doing hard things, it becomes harder to do easy things because you know the consequences. This is how you become unstoppable. You develop such a strong habit of doing hard things that you can't help but succeed. You develop such a strong character that you naturally make choices that serve your long-term goals. You develop such strong discipline that you automatically do what's necessary regardless of how you feel. The world is full of people who want to be successful, but they're not willing to do the hard things that success requires. They want the results, but they don't want the process. They want the destination, but they don't want the journey. But you can be different. You can be one of the few who understand that the journey is the destination. You can be one of the few who understand that the process is the reward. You can be one of the few who understand that doing hard things is what makes life worth living. When you commit to doing hard things, when you commit to choosing discipline over comfort, when you commit to doing what's necessary regardless of how you feel, you join the ranks of people who make things happen. You become someone who doesn't just dream about success, but who actually achieves it. The path to becoming unstoppable is not complicated, it's simple. Do hard things consistently. Choose discipline over comfort. Choose what's necessary over what's easy. Choose what you want most over what you want now. But simple doesn't mean easy. It takes commitment, it takes determination, it takes the willingness to be uncomfortable in the short term so you can be comfortable in the long term. Are you willing to make that commitment? Are you willing to choose the hard path? Are you willing to do what's necessary to become unstoppable? The choice is yours. But remember, not making a choice is still a choice. Not choosing to do hard things is choosing to do easy things. Not choosing discipline is choosing regret. Not choosing what's necessary is choosing what's convenient. And the consequences of these choices will compound over time. The easy choices you make today will make your life harder tomorrow. The hard choices you make today will make your life easier tomorrow. Which path will you choose? The path of discipline or the path of regret? The path of hard things or the path of easy things? The path of growth or the path of comfort? Choose wisely. Your future self is counting on the choice you make today. Your dreams are counting on the choice you make today. Your potential is counting on the choice you make today. The time to start is now. The time to do hard things is now. The time to choose discipline over comfort is now. The time to become unstoppable is now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start today. Start right now. Choose one hard thing and commit to doing it consistently. Your unstoppable life is waiting for you. It's waiting for you to make the choice to do hard things. It's waiting for you to choose discipline over comfort. It's waiting for you to choose what's necessary over what's easy. The choice is yours. What will you choose? Let me share with you something that most people never learn. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not talent, it's not luck, it's not connections, it's not even intelligence. The difference is simply this. Successful people have learned to do the things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. Now, you might think that successful people like doing these things. You might think they enjoy getting up early. They enjoy working when others are playing. They enjoy studying when others are watching television. But here's the truth. Successful people don't like doing these things any more than unsuccessful people do. The difference is that successful people do them anyway. They understand that their feelings don't control their actions. They understand that they don't have to feel like doing something in order to do it. They understand that discipline is about doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel about it. This is a profound shift in thinking. Most people live their lives controlled by their feelings. They only do what they feel like doing. When they feel motivated, they work. When they don't feel motivated, they don't work. When they feel like exercising, they exercise. When they don't feel like exercising, they don't exercise. But successful people understand that feelings are temporary. Motivation comes and goes. Inspiration is fleeting. But discipline is permanent. Discipline is what you can count on when feelings fail you. Discipline is what gets you through when you don't feel like going on. I learned this lesson when I was struggling to build my business. There were many days when I didn't feel like making sales calls. There were many days when I didn't feel like studying and learning new skills. There were many days when I didn't feel like doing the hard work that I knew was necessary. But I had to make a choice. I could wait until I felt like doing these things, or I could do them anyway. I chose to do them anyway, and that choice changed everything. That choice taught me that I had more power than I realized. That choice taught me that I could act independently of my feelings. When you learn to act independently of your feelings, when you learn to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel, you become unstoppable. You're no longer limited by your moods, your emotions, your temporary states of mind. You become someone who can be counted on to perform regardless of circumstances. This is what separates champions from everyone else. Champions don't perform because they feel like it. Champions perform because they've made a commitment to excellence that goes beyond their feelings. Champions understand that consistency is more important than intensity. Let me tell you about the power of consistency. Most people underestimate the power of doing small things consistently. They think that success requires dramatic actions, heroic efforts, extraordinary measures. But the truth is that success is built on ordinary actions done consistently over time. Reading one book won't make you educated, but reading 30 minutes every day for 10 years will make you one of the most educated people in your field. Exercising for 1 hour won't make you fit, but exercising for 30 minutes every day for a year will transform your body and your health. Saving $10 won't make you wealthy, but saving $10 every day for 20 years will give you a substantial nest egg. Learning one new skill won't make you valuable, but learning something new every day for 5 years will make you incredibly valuable to the marketplace. The key is consistency. The key is doing small things every day that move you in the direction of your goals. The key is understanding that small actions done consistently create massive results over time. But here's what stops most people. They look at the small actions and think they don't matter. They think, what difference will reading for 30 minutes make today? They think, what difference will exercising for 20 minutes make today? They think, what difference will saving $10 make today? The answer is simple. By itself, it won't make much difference. But that's not the point. The point is not what it does today. The point is what it does over time. The point is the compound effect of small actions taken consistently. Every small action you take in the right direction compounds. Every good choice you make creates momentum for making more good choices. Every discipline you develop makes it easier to develop other disciplines. Every hard thing you do makes you more capable of doing other hard things. This is why I tell people to start small, but start. Don't try to change everything at once. Don't try to become perfect overnight. Just pick one area where you can start doing something small consistently. Pick something that will move you in the direction of your goals. Maybe it's reading for 15 minutes every day. Maybe it's walking for 20 minutes every day. Maybe it's saving $5 every day. Maybe it's learning one new word every day. Maybe it's writing for 10 minutes every day. Maybe it's calling one prospect every day. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the consistency. What matters is that you're doing something every day that moves you forward. What matters is that you're building the habit of doing hard things consistently. And once you build this habit in one area, you can expand it to other areas. Once you prove to yourself that you can do small things consistently, you can start doing bigger things consistently. Once you develop the discipline to do one hard thing every day, this is how you build an unstoppable life. You start with small, consistent actions and build from there. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You don't wait until you feel ready. You start where you are with what you have and you build momentum through consistency. Let me tell you about the importance of environment. Your environment has a massive impact on your ability to do hard things consistently. If you're surrounded by people who make excuses, you'll find it easier to make excuses. If you're surrounded by people who avoid challenges, you'll find it easier to avoid challenges. But if you're surrounded by people who do hard things, you'll find it easier to do hard things. If you're surrounded by people who have high standards, you'll find it easier to maintain high standards. If you're surrounded by people who are constantly growing and improving, you'll find it easier to grow and improve. This is why it's so important to choose your associations carefully. The people you spend time with will influence your thinking, your habits, your standards, and your results. If you want to become unstoppable, you need to surround yourself with people who are already unstoppable. Now, I'm not saying you should abandon your friends and family. I'm saying you should be intentional about who you learn from, who you model, who you allow to influence your thinking. Seek out people who have achieved what you want to achieve. Learn from people who have developed the disciplines you want to develop. Read books by people who have done hard things. Listen to audio programs by people who have overcome challenges. Attend seminars and workshops led by people who have built the kind of life you want to build. Surround yourself with the ideas and philosophies of people who understand the power of doing hard things. Your environment also includes your physical environment. If your home is cluttered and disorganized, it will be harder to think clearly and make good decisions. If your workspace is chaotic and distracting, it will be harder to focus and be productive. Create an environment that supports your goals. Create an environment that makes it easier to do hard things. Remove distractions. Organize your space. Create systems that support the behaviors you want to develop. If you want to read more, put books in places where you'll see them. If you want to exercise more, put your workout clothes where you'll see them. If you want to eat better, stock your kitchen with healthy foods. If you want to save money, make it automatic so you don't have to think about it. Your environment should work for you, not against you. Your environment should make it easier to do the right things, not harder. Your environment should support the person you want to become, not the person you used to be. Let me talk to you about the power of identity. Most people try to change their results without changing their identity. They try to change what they do without changing who they are. But this approach rarely works long term. If you see yourself as someone who doesn't like to exercise, you'll always struggle to exercise consistently. If you see yourself as someone who's bad with money, you'll always struggle to save and invest wisely. If you see yourself as someone who's not good at learning, you'll always struggle to develop new skills. But if you change your identity, if you change how you see yourself, the behaviors become natural. If you see yourself as someone who takes care of their body, exercising becomes part of who you are. If you see yourself as someone who's good with money, saving and investing become part of who you are. The key is to start thinking of yourself as the kind of person who does hard things. Start thinking of yourself as someone who chooses discipline over comfort. Start thinking of yourself as someone who does what's necessary regardless of how they feel. Every time you do something hard, you're reinforcing this identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who does hard things. Every time you do what's necessary, regardless of how you feel, you're strengthening your identity as someone who can be counted on. This is incredibly powerful because once you truly believe that you're the kind of person who does hard things, doing hard things becomes natural. It becomes part of who you are. It becomes easier to do hard things than to do easy things, because doing easy things would be inconsistent with your identity. Start small. Start with one hard thing that you can do consistently. Every time you do it, remind yourself that you're the kind of person who does hard things. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, remind yourself that you're the kind of person who chooses discipline over comfort. Over time, this identity will become stronger and stronger. Over time, it will become easier and easier to do hard things. Over time, you'll become someone who naturally gravitates toward challenges rather than avoiding them. Now, let me address something that stops many people from doing hard things: the fear of failure. Most people avoid hard things because they're afraid they might fail. They're afraid they might not be good enough. They're afraid they might look foolish or embarrass themselves. But here's what you need to understand about failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Every successful person has failed more times than unsuccessful people have even tried. The difference is that successful people see failure as feedback, not as a judgment of their worth. When you attempt something hard and you don't succeed, you haven't failed. You've learned. You've gained experience. You've discovered what doesn't work so you can focus on what does work. You've developed resilience and character. The only real failure is the failure to try. The only real failure is avoiding hard things because you're afraid of not succeeding. The only real failure is letting fear make your decisions for you. I want you to change your relationship with failure. I want you to see failure as a teacher, not an enemy. I want you to see failure as a stepping stone, not a roadblock. I want you to see failure as proof that you're pushing yourself, not proof that you're not good enough. When you change your relationship with failure, when you stop being afraid of it, you become unstoppable. You become willing to attempt things that others won't attempt. You become willing to take risks that others won't take. You become willing to push yourself beyond your comfort zone. This willingness to fail, this willingness to be uncomfortable, this willingness to look foolish in the short term so you can be successful in the long term is what separates unstoppable people from everyone else. Let me tell you about the importance of having a compelling vision. Doing hard things is much easier when you have a clear vision of what you're working toward. When you have a compelling picture of the life you want to create, the sacrifices become easier to make. Most people focus on what they have to give up to do hard things. They focus on the discomfort, the sacrifice, the effort required. But successful people focus on what they're going to gain. They focus on the life they're creating, the person they're becoming, the results they're going to achieve. Your vision has to be compelling enough to pull you through the difficult times. Your vision has to be clear enough to help you make good decisions. Your vision has to be inspiring enough to motivate you when you don't feel like doing the work. Take some time to create a clear vision of what you want your life to look like. What do you want to achieve? What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of impact do you want to have? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Write it down, make it specific, make it compelling, make it something that excites you and scares you at the same time. Make it something that's worth doing hard things for. Then, every time you're tempted to choose the easy path, remind yourself of your vision. Every time you're tempted to avoid something hard, remind yourself of what you're working toward. Every time you're tempted to give up, remind yourself of the person you're becoming. Your vision will give you the strength to do hard things. Your vision will give you the motivation to keep going when others quit. Your vision will give you the clarity to make decisions that serve your long-term goals rather than your short-term desires. Finally, let me leave you with this thought. The person you become in the process of doing hard things is more valuable than any specific result you achieve. The character you develop, the skills you build, the discipline you create, the confidence you gain, these things will serve you for the rest of your life. When you commit to doing hard things, you're not just working toward external goals, you're working on yourself. You're becoming someone who can handle whatever life throws at you. You're becoming someone who can turn challenges into opportunities. You're becoming someone who can achieve things that others think are impossible. This is the real reward of doing hard things. This is what makes you unstoppable. Not the specific results you achieve, but the person you become in the process of achieving them. So start today, start right now, choose one hard thing, and commit to doing it consistently. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start where you are with what you have. Remember, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. But the things that are hard to do, when done consistently, will transform your life. They'll make you unstoppable. The choice is yours. The power is in your hands. The time is now. What hard thing will you choose to do today?